So if you're going to do business with the government, there are a lot of rules and complexities and compliance risks you have, whether you're in that business today or you're thinking about getting into that business. Immix's government business infrastructure is designed to reduce that cost and those complexities and help you stay compliant with all the various rules. We do that with 4 different sections. First off is really the contract management, access to various contracts, and staying compliant with those. Secondly is the financial services that you need to take very large transactions down. Third is just systems and processes on how the government wants orders processed. And finally, it's the account management and understanding the government programs as you're doing the bookings, the quotings, the orderings across your government business. So first, let's talk about contract management and compliance. The government will not write a new contract no matter how much they like your product or service. So having access to a contract that you can use to sell to that particular government agency or end user is really important as you approach the marketplace. Immix has over 30 contracts that are available for our vendors and our partners to utilize. And as you're doing that with a contract, you have to worry about what are the particular price lists that are used on that contract for all the SKUs, which will vary contract to contract. So managing that price list of that contract is important, and having the updates of new products that are added, prices could be changing, products being deleted. Finally, it's staying compliant and knowing what all the terms and conditions are on that contract and having the legal staff, which Immix has, that advises us and our partners on this particular contract. This is a piece you must worry about as you're doing business, as a value we provide on our contract management side.
Having the right financial solution is very critical in the government space. Because of the way the government operates, they often have RFPs and purchase orders for enterprise-wide solutions. But because they favor small business, they're often issuing those purchase orders to a small or a mid-sized partner that may not have the financial capability of taking down that entire deal. To a partner CEO, a CFO, or the manufacturer involved in the deal, that's worrisome. As an immixGroup partner, you have access to various financial solutions. First, we can certainly flex a net terms line up or down based on seasonality and the financial capabilities of the partner. We'll often use escrow or lockbox accounts where the government pays into an escrow or a lockbox, and the bank has then very specific instructions on how much they pay to the partner and how much they pay to Immix and the manufacturers for that particular opportunity. There's a number of different public sector financing options where the government doesn't have enough money up front for the entire solutions, but they want to finance that over a number of years. Leasing would be one of these types of transactions. We can help the government and the partners structure that deal so the government spends a smaller amount up front but pays for it over a number of years. One of my favorite new solutions that comes from Aero Capital is actually called flex pricing, where we'll put the exact amount of server and compute and storage capability on the floor and then flex that capacity up or down based on what the government is utilizing. The beauty, the government only pays for exactly what they use that month. Sort of works like your cell phone plan, the data on your cell phone plan. Use more data, you pay more. Use less data, you pay less. And that's an invoice that will change by month based on usage. I often tell our partners and manufacturers that I don't think I've ever seen a transaction of any size with any size partner that I could not finance if we were brought in early enough to the transaction.
Once the government is ready to issue an order, they may specify various systems and processes that must be in place throughout that order's process. For example, ISO 9001 is one we see almost all the time. We are an ISO shop, which means all our orders and processes and the way we're processing orders, getting them off to the vendors, shipping them to the end users is repeatable, documented throughout the process. Secondly, on some particular end users, I think most of this comes up in Department of Defense business or intelligence community business, they need a trusted supplier network so they know where that product was manufactured and all the way through the logistics chains that gets to the end user, that the only people touching that were trusted people, that we know nothing else got put into it or intermixed or wasn't built in some foreign country that we wouldn't want product built in, for example. Finally, many orders have got a national defense priority where this order is so critical to something the country is doing, it must be processed before others. So there's a process for something called DPAS that handles that. And we also have a subset of orders that are classified in themselves. Governments put a security classification on them. That means they don't want anybody to know what's on that order, where it's going, and we can handle what we call the DD 254 order. It's actually the government's form that classifies the order. The fourth piece of the system that we talk about in our government business infrastructure is actually just the account management itself. When you're working with immixGroup on an order process or doing a license renewal or something like that, the team you are talking to is trained in government business. They know the contracts, they know the price list, they know the vendor programs that they use for government, so that you know that you've got the best prices, your deal registration is working. You're talking to sales reps that process government orders all day long and are the experts in that piece of it. Since Immix was founded in 1997, we built our government business infrastructure to help our vendors and our partners do business with the government. There are a lot of complexities. Our job is to simplify that so our vendors and partners can sell to the government and not worry about all the contract management, price list management, the various ways orders get processed, knowing the government programs for a particular vendor. That's our job, so that you can get back to selling to the government, delivering your product and services to the government. Other distributors that work in the public sector space have kind of built this as add-ons to their basic core systems. Our core systems were built with all this in mind. If you're doing business in the government space, you need immixGroup's government business infrastructure.
Our case at Cisco, we have a lot of feet on the street, our own direct sales folks. We've got a lot of marketing, big marketing, and we have a very dynamic channel organization that's out knocking on doors and evangelizing and selling and transacting business. You kind of have to leverage all of that every day, and we can't do it all by ourselves. So we do rely. In fact, we have an arrangement with Immix, and sometimes Immix is in there knocking on the doors, closing the deals, transacting the business. Because you want your sellers selling. You want your magic, the people who do the magic, doing the magic. You don't want them negotiating contracts. They're not the marketing people. They don't speak the language. And in even large companies have to pick partners well who can fulfill some of that backroom stuff, what we think of as non-value add, but you got to have it and you got to be doing it. It's got to be done well and effectively. So picking a partner that can help you execute like that, I think, is important.